dreams? While you're awake? Dead people like in graves and coffins?
Walking around like regular people. They don't see each other. They only see what they want to see. They don't know they're dead.
How often do you see them?
All the time. They're everywhere.
It is Tuesday, the 1st of October, 2013. My name's Paul.
My name's Andy.
And the Unpenned Show live around the world on Blog Talk Awake and the Shaziz Radio Network. We are here live to say what we want to say.
We are.
We are doing what everybody else is doing in a slightly bigger version. Because we're doing nothing more than putting on our show, are we?
We are.
And it is nothing more than a show. Everybody does it.
They do every
Everybody
day.
does it. And they show what it is that they've seen. It's a seesaw type game, isn't it? Everybody is saying I, me, I, me, I, me. It's always about I, me, isn't it? Every conversation goes along the lines of, yeah, I can hear you talking and I'm waiting for you to finish because I want to get into the important stuff that includes me. Isn't that the world we're starting to understand exists and always did?
Yeah.
It is. And there is, there's a clip out, well, there's actually a sort of, these 15 minutes of fame, and I don't think we know much about this, but it was February '68 when Andy Warhol actually said the very words. He actually said, he repeated it, that my prediction from the 60s finally came true. In the future, everyone will be famous for 15 minutes. Now, there was a man with vision.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was just his own vision.
No.
Because we can see it too, can't we?
Yeah.
We can see it. Now, let's go with what we did Saturday night, because we went out for a social event.
We did.
To a local establishment, didn't we?
Yes.
Very rare we do that now, very rare, because... Very rare.
We tried to join the community.
We tried to join in, didn't we? And when I say that everybody's putting on a show, it's because we're all living in a moving image, a movie. And it's the outside of the window. Because on the outside of the window is something called film. And that's what you're actually really taking part in. This second life here, this second life that is actually making you duplicate what you do, like checking your post. You check your post on the real world, and then you go and check it in the alternative world. And you go shopping in the real world, and you go shopping in this world. And you go socialising in the real world, but not so much now. No. And then you go socialising in this world. And what we went out Saturday night, then we to a local pub around the corner.
We did.
It isn't a place we'd normally go, but there was a band on.
There was a band on.
There was a band on, and it was your son that said it was a pretty good band.
Pretty good band. Go see it.
And we thought they've bothered to come all this way.
They did, yeah.
Just round the corner. So we shall make an effort and go out
and show some support. Yeah, local support.
The clip that I played at the beginning, The Sixth Sense, the little boy in the bed, and Bruce Willis sat next to him, asking him what it was that he could see. The reason why I played that and started the evening off was because after the evening out that we'd been, I came home and I was quite disturbed by what we'd seen.
We all were, in fact, weren't we?
Quite disturbed. And for some reason, that little bit of a movie came into my head. So I actually purposely sat up, tracked it down, edited it, and played it this evening. So we could talk about what did you see for 2 hours just over, round the corner, Saturday night. What did you see?
Exactly that. I saw dead people trying to look as though they were having a good time, and all they were doing were it was an existence. It wasn't
right. As all good bands, they were far too loud for the venue.
They were
far too bloody loud. Now let's describe the lead singer. He was the wrong side of 60.
He was.
He was definitely. He was a 60s guy, wasn't he? Not just 60 years old, but he was a product of the 60s.
Yeah.
With the long hair, talking about drugs and singing about revolution.
Yeah.
And all credit to them, the band were a tight band, and the songs were good songs. Fooled me when I first walked in because I could hear somebody speaking, but I could only see 4 members of the band stood up. It wasn't until I got a little nearer the front that I realised the singer was sat down.
So he was sat down.
I thought, who's doing the talking?
He was out of breath.
He was sat down. The evening, musically, was actually fine, wasn't it?
It was.
It was very well done.
A good tight band,
He wrote all the songs himself, and although, as usual, you can't always hear what they're saying and singing, you get the gist of it.
Yeah.
You do get the idea of it. How many people were there?
40 tops.
40. Am I exaggerating? When we looked around at that room, and there was about 3 people wearing clothes of colour.
Yes, yeah.
Actual colourful clothes.
Colourful clothes, yeah.
You know, the reds and the tangerines and the flowery white dress, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And turquoise and...
Yeah.
There was 3 colourful people in the room.
Colours, yeah.
Who were the 3 colourful people? Me, you and John. Everybody else was wearing various shades of black, wasn't it?
It was
50 shades of grey, mostly close to black, wasn't it?
Yeah.
One of it was like a 2-hour horror movie. Because the people who were there, and I am not speaking down to them, but I'm telling you what I saw, because this is our show.
Yeah.
And we're doing seesaw share.
Yeah.
That's all it is, that's what life is. Does it have value? You decide. It's not for me to decide, it's whether you decide. And that's whether you listen or whether you walk away and do your own show. Remember, everyone's doing a show, whether it's inviting people round for coffee and showing photographs, whether it's discussing what's in the papers, you're still doing seesaw. Now, we're talking seesaw. And the next level up is seesaw. Because they're always talking about what we're going to do because of. You see, it's isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, this is what we've seen, and this is what, and this is. So it always works like that, and it always will work like that, because we're not in the front carriages, are we? In the life that we call a race, the one thing that would actually ruin what is a controlled system is if we ever caught them up. If we ever managed to catch them up, intellectually, scientifically, if we ever managed to challenge them in a way that they've never been challenged before, then they would know that they were being pushed in this race. But we're not pushing them, are we?
No.
I mean, think of the bed races that people have. Why would you push a bed around? Remember did you ever have piano smashing? Did you ever see that?
I never saw it, but
You know it existed, didn't you?
I do know it existed,
and I don't know the origin of it. Now, I know in Jubilee year, where I was living at the time,
there's this
piano smashing.
And a similar thing to that as well, the straw race, where you carry a bale of straw.
Yeah, but that's more like an endurance strength type thing.
Yeah.
That would be from the farming community.
But it's in a similar vein.
But I'm thinking, why a piano?
Yeah, why a piano?
Why a piano? Why a bed? But there again, we would have said at one point, why a maze? Why the build mazes? But now we know.
Yes, definitely know
now.
now.
We know.
Yeah.
It's to keep us entertained while they laugh at us from a distance, isn't it? They laugh at us from afar.
They laugh at us from the windows.
Now, they do laugh at us from the windows. Well said.
Yes.
Well said. All windows are a two-way deal.
They are.
Yeah. Back to the 2-hour horror movie. And the reason why I described it as a horror movie is because we had around about a maximum 40 people, all dressed in various shades of grey, close to black. All could do with a week outside to get somewhere near white.
Yes.
And more than once I looked around and I saw 40 heads, the majority over 40 years old, 35, 40, and they were just nodding, weren't they?
Nodding to the
still,
beat of the music.
But it was 1, 2, 3. It was surreal, wasn't it? It was a bit like a Stephen King type moment in the movies, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And you looked at me, and I looked at you, and we were in company. We were in company, and we couldn't say what we were seeing.
And the scary thing was, we didn't talk about it. Was it until the Monday? Yesterday, wasn't it? Yeah. So we did, because we sort of left on the Saturday without speaking about it.
But we were quite disturbed about it, weren't we?
Yeah.
It was unusual, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, this was a scene from the movies that I've never seen before. I've never seen it in my own world before. But now I have.
Yeah.
Now I have, and I'm not sure how I feel about that.
No, I remember sitting down saying to Karen as we were having a drink, this was before you arrived, and I just said to Karen, I said, "There's some, I don't feel comfortable."
We didn't belong
and she
there,
said,
did we?
What do you mean you don't feel? I said, I
We
don't
didn't
belong
there.
here.
We didn't belong there.
I felt totally out of it.
I know.
And it was strange,
I
because
know.
I'm not afraid to go in a few pubs.
We didn't belong there.
But
that's for sure.
we didn't belong there, no.
Welcome to the show, everybody. You're listening to Paul and Andy on a Tuesday evening. It's a dark October evening. If you listen to if you listen to this on YouTube, all right, I should have said that right at the beginning, shouldn't I? If you listen to this on YouTube, you're missing the clips, you're missing the music, because YouTube won't let us put it up. Or they will, but we have to go through so much of a sing and dance routine, and if they say we can't have it, after all the routine, we still can't have it. So we've decided that we'll edit the show, so you get the spoken edit only. Below YouTube is the entire show on Blog Talk.
Yeah.
Please consider listening to the Blog Talk version. It makes a lot more sense than just our edited conversation, doesn't it?
It does, yes.
So it's below the YouTube video that you're listening to now, along with my Facebook, your Facebook, our VT Editor's Facebook. Please use Facebook to say hello if you feel comfortable doing so. We'd like to hear from you. Please put any comments down you like. We're not bothered. The one thing that is obvious to most people who have listened to the show more than once or twice, we don't want your money.
No, we
don't have any egos that you're going to offend here at all. We are not in the slightest bit bothered what you might want to say to us. You will not offend us, because I don't know you. Whoever you are, I won't know you. I won't know if you're real, and I won't know if you mean it. What we do is we show you our picture, don't we?
Yeah.
We share with you over these airwaves
our slice of reality.
Our picture, how it looks to us. And if you want to reply to what we've said to you, then whatever you give us, will give us a very small slice of what your picture looks like. And maybe you're not keen on what we decipher. That's fine if you don't like it. I won't be changing it because you don't like it. And if at any point in the future you want to say, well, my picture looks like this, be prepared for an honest comment. Because that's all we ask for, isn't it?
It is.
That's all we ask for.
Yeah.
There's no donate button. We're not bothered about the egos thing. There's nothing you can say to offend us because we don't know you. If you do try and offend us and we don't know you, ask yourself why you're doing that. You ask yourself, why would you feel the need to do that? Why would you feel the need to put a flippant comment that destroys the content because you somehow feel challenged by it? Do you not realise that little one line gives you away? It gives all you are away. Because the wise speak in company that appreciates a different opinion. And the screaming gnolls shout and bark all bloody day, don't they? They bark and bark and bark and bark and bloody bark, and they can't compose a tune to bloody save their life, can they? So back live then, and there's a reason why we played that tune, because nobody hears the word dépêché, do they? Dépêché. De being the, péché being fish mode. The fish mode, which is what we're in. We're in the land of fish and ships. And anybody who doesn't understand that, it's just because that's not what you're getting from this. These are our pictures, aren't they?
They are.
These are our pictures. This is what makes the most sense to us when you decode it right down to the basic level. You might be studying the second meaning of rectangles and boxes and squares and circles and pentagrams and upside down this, and you might be studying all those things. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. You'll learn a new language. That's how you learn a new language. We've done that before, haven't we?
We have, yeah.
That's how you learn a new language. You learn the shapes first.
The building blocks.
And then you learn, it's a bit like, why do we have vowels in this language? Well, without the vowels, we can't compose a language. Now, where do you think the vowels came from? Well, is A that's the air, E that's the earth, I that's the fire, O that's the water, or U is the spirit? Is that what it is? You say, well, I've never heard that before. I've never thought of that. No, but then you say to yourself, okay, so where did the vowels come from? Well, I'll tell you where the vowels come from, quite simply. The vowels are the sounds that you make in the back of your throat. All right? Think about when you say t, v, p, that sort of thing. It's all coming off the end of your tongue, you're banging it on the roof of your mouth, and your lips are, they're producing that sound. The sounds that aren't vowels are primarily made at the front end of your face. Your tongue, your lips, the roof of your mouth, and through your nose. That's a nose. Okay, but the vowels are different. The vowels are different in their origin. And I'll do them for you, and then you tell me I know where they've come from. Ah, eh, e, ah, ooh. Okay, that's where they've come from.
Yeah.
Okay, this is monkey language. All right, this is monkey language. That's where they came from. Ah, eh, e, ah, ooh. Yeah, right at the back of your throat. That's why we've got vowels that are different. Okay, we can do the front end, but the vowels allow us to use the whole production system, the whole mouth. That's how it works.
Yeah.
These are some things that I love. I love talking about these subjects. Do you know, there was something that we came up with after last week's show, didn't we? And I was quite proud of it, because you've done some cracking one-liners over your time, Jürgen. You've outdone me on one-liners, but there was one last week who said, experience is what you get when you didn't get what you wanted. And that led us down a whole road of conversation, didn't it?
It did.
Because your killer line for me was sometime February, March this year. When you said, I know what I'm here for. I'm here to make a copy of myself.
I've worked it out, yeah.
And you had no idea how that opened a whole flood for me. And it really did lead us onto quite a gallop, didn't it, about making a copy of yourself. And there is actually no future if we don't actually invest in our children.
There isn't.
And all we have to invest is our time.
Yes.
So we must spend it wisely.
We must.
Because the deal always was, wasn't it, that you would look after the kids in the first part, and then they would make their own way in the world.
Yes.
And the idea being at the end, they would perhaps help you in the later years.
In your later years, yeah.
And this was very well known. This isn't new at all. This isn't, I mean, when we look at education, which is the problem that we've got in the world today, it is education that primarily is our problem. When we look at, education didn't come in statutory till 1870. That's only 143 years ago.
It is.
And that was only for the ages 5 to 10 years old. Now, the birth rate plummeted. All right, 30% down. The birth rate plummeted because the Education Act came in. Do you know why it did? Because having children was no longer economically advantageous. You couldn't send them out to work.
No.
You couldn't send them out to bloody work. So people stopped having kids, or they stopped having as many.
Yeah.
And that is what happened. And it wasn't until 1899 that we actually said that they must go to school not till 10, but till 12.
Till 12, yeah.
And the birth rate took a long time to recover. And to be honest, for what we'll call the English people, forget the colour, just people who actually have the status of English, our birth rates have stayed since the Second World War, have stayed very much level. Okay, the population increase is not because we're having more children. The population increase is the influx of immigrants. Am I racist? Of course I'm not. I leave that to people like Little John and Hitchens. Okay, they do that sort of thing. They write about divide. I don't want to do that. All right, the immigrants are here because they want to make a better world for their family.
Yep.
And the doors are wide open for them to let them do that. So we must ask, who leaves the doors open, and has it been good for us? Well, history's going to show that maybe not. But that's not where I'm going with this conversation. What I'm saying is that kids are important.
They are.
In fact, if they're the future, and without an investment in children, there is no future.
There is no future,
now,
no.
We've talked about kids before, but this afternoon we were chatting about, so, if we want the human race to stop making the same mistakes, why have we got a reality that says they must make the same mistakes?
Same mistakes, yeah.
In other words, we say our children must make the same mistakes as we did to learn the lessons
properly. Learn the lessons, yeah.
But that means that we just keep doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
So is the answer something different?
Yes.
I mean, to those that study this properly, we do keep doing the same things over and over again. Yeah. And the control system does that as well. It uses what it's done before and tries to improve and update and re-implement it. And if it's already implemented it, it updates it and expands it.
Yeah.
There's nothing really new about what the system tries to do to us.
No.
Except the amount of people that it covers to do it.
Yeah.
It tries to expand all the time. It's like a virus. It's like a cancer, isn't it? It tries to expand into all our lives.
Yeah.
So back to the, well, what if we didn't allow our children to fall? Well, let's go through the things that children should learn. Right from wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Right from wrong, and if it incurs pain and injury to them because they keep doing something wrong, in other words, they burn themselves or fall over or damage something, they're going to have to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
But at what point do we use our wisdom to bring them along faster? I think we're looking at the wrong end, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Because isn't this a game in the head?
Yes,
Isn't this primarily focused? Success is primarily focused on what you put in your two eyes and your two ears.
Yeah.
As to what comes out of the mouth and the right hand.
Yep.
Isn't that what happens?
Yeah.
So rather than parents trying to make the materialistic children's lives better, should they not be encouraging them to read things that matter? Because the difference between smart people and dumb people is quite simply what they've put in their eyes and ears.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, you tried to do that by private school, didn't you?
We did, yeah.
Well, I'm saying tried to. You did.
We did.
You did do it by private school.
Yeah.
But because of the level that we're at, financially, it was much more difficult for you.
Yes.
And you were saying to yourself, well, we actually get to pay twice.
Yeah, that's right.
But the people who are more financially successful, well, the people who have more money than us, they agree to pay twice.
They do.
Because they pay the middle class pay the same tax as we do.
Yeah.
In fact, they pay more of it.
Mm-hmm.
And they still quite happily pay to send their children to private school.
Yeah.
Now, I can only speak about Harrow here, but Harrow, it is a boys' school, 800 boys. Watched a little bit about this on, I think it was on Sky 1 on Sunday, I can't remember, it doesn't matter. And these boys get an education that isn't what we get in the public sector.
Oh, no.
Not at all. And you can argue the rights and wrongs, and please do that on your own, because I'm not joining in. Right, but I remember the new boys were called solos. The second years, or the second grades, were called shells. And the third grades, or the older boys, were called the remove, or removes. You see, coming out of your shell, you can see where that comes from. If you think this isn't a fish and ship analogy, that's absolutely fine. It is. It is. We've been drowned. We were thrown overboard a long time ago. The ship of state is sinking, and it's going to throw us all out, and there'll be nobody left except, this is the Titanic. This is, the Titanic film is just an allegory of what's happening. Reading the books that we're reading now, we're nowhere different to where the books say we've always been. On the edge of calamity. Mm-hmm. The money system is going to collapse probably tomorrow. It's October, and the Americans are playing the shutdown of the government game again.
I've done it about 18 times, I think.
They play it every year. Okay? Am I saying that the American economy won't collapse? I think you might find that most economies have collapsed. They're now actually based on a debt-based system of we'll get as much as we can while we can, because this boat is sinking. This whole thing is sinking. Religiously, you could say that we're in the second flood. This is the second great flood, and the world is drowning in ignorance and debt. We could argue that, but I think history might show that the second great flood was through ignorance and debt. Our ignorance and our debt, collectively. Because the government are doing the same thing. If you actually think the politicians that you see every day are smarter than you, why? Why? What made you think that? And you say, no, the politicians that I see are stupid. They're stupid. I could do their job better. They're bloody stupid. I said, well, hang on. Stupid is a little bit of a catch-all situation here. The MPs work about 5 months a year and earn an awful lot more than most of us. So I think stupid might be a little bit misapplied here.
Yep.
We should learn what politicians are for. They're the defenders. They're the defenders for the system that gets on with business.
Yeah.
They are just the defenders, and every 4 or 5 years we get the opportunity to vote for the best liar. Which liar do you like best? Because once you've invested your future, which he's told you is going to be better, alright, you've listened to the bits that apply to you, and that politician there has made promises to you that you think will make your life better. You completely forget that they've never kept any of those promises previously.
They haven't, no.
It's the old adage, isn't it? Fool me once. Yeah, fool me once.
Yeah.
Shame on you. Fool me twice. and 3 times, and 4 times, and 5 times. Shame on bloody me.
Without a doubt.
Because
Took me a long time to realise it.
If we keep putting the cross on the ballot paper,
Yeah.
you know, what are we doing? What are we really doing? Well, if we didn't vote, what we're going to do?
What would happen? They'd make it up. That's what'd happen.
I don't have the solutions. That's why I don't promise to bring you the truth.
No.
The truth is something that will be sold, and I ain't selling you it.
No.
Okay,
not.
I'm showing you around my art gallery. This is our art, our gallery, our pictures, and we wander around and tell you what we see as we go around.
We do.
And the art gallery is the real world. It's the real, not the second life. No, not that second life that you're maintaining now. You see, the second life, it actually makes you maintain it.
Yeah.
It actually makes you worry about what people think about your virtual reality avatar self. You go on there and you look at what people have said and you update it. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm going here, I'm going there. And you update it because you want your life to sound exciting. Now, I dare say that a lot of things that are on here are probably not true. They're probably not true in the way, but it doesn't matter. Because this is a place where failed people can feel more successful. We started on the kids, didn't we?
We
and
did.
We said that you know what we call the original rites of passage, the climbing frame, the swing, the riding the bike, the dealing with bullies, the sitting your first exam,
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Your first girlfriend, all that kind of thing.
They've got to deal with that.
Yeah.
They've got to deal with that, and school sets them up for that. School does socialise them in a way that they want to be like everybody else, so they try and pass those tests.
Of course, yeah.
But at some point, the parents have got to take the responsibility,
Yes.
the ability to respond to their child's needs. Now, I know lots of parents are trying to make their children into what they weren't.
Yeah.
Whether it be sports stars, fashion models, and many things. The parents, because they didn't, they invest in their kids to try and make it so they can and do. And that doesn't always work out.
It doesn't. The balance of time's been taken away from you. They're there for best part of 6 hours of the day, out of your day, and you see them for best part of 4, if you're lucky. Well,
I was going to say that's a lucky family that does that nowadays.
Yeah, they're either that or they're up in the bedroom or whatever. So the balance has been taken out of your hands.
Well, the things that kids are interested in have changed, hasn't there? You know, eating together, there's something that we don't do so much anymore. In a poll on my Facebook page, there's actually about a 40-minute talk by a girl called Kerry Shuckley or something like that. Very good talk. I bought the book, actually. It's called Alone Together, and it's about modern day world, and it's about how things have changed and how we're being changed. I bought the book Alone Together, shall have it by the weekend. I'll plough straight into it and we'll see what we get out of that, and if it's worth sharing and if I think it's got value, I'll tell you all about it. But that 40-minute talk on my Facebook page, I think it was very valuable to me because it confirmed all that I can see, and she was saying exactly the same thing. For example, like on a mobile phone tariff, your monthly allowance, you might get I don't know, like 200 minutes. Nobody uses the minutes up. Nobody uses the minutes. And when surveyed, American kids she's actually looking at here, but it would appear that
That's been the norm for here.
the survey results can probably be confirmed at this end as well. And that is that when kids asked, would you rather call or would you rather text? The kids' answers are, we'd rather text. And you say, why would you rather text? And the kids are not worried about answering. They say, because it gives you a little time to read what you're going to send. Instead of making a mistake in what you're going to say, you can recompose it and check it before you send it. So, whereas in a conversation, it's all immediate response, answer question, that sort of thing. You know, it's give and take, to and fro, that sort of thing. And it can be a fast interchange. The kids aren't comfortable with that. They find to take a little more time and say what they want to, but it's typed, so they're not saying it. This cipher of the spoken word is being changed because it's typed. It's not spoken by the person who sends it, but apparently is. How many people say, I was speaking to so-and-so, or you rang them? Well, no, I actually texted them. So the spoken word is being lost. If we continue down that path, we won't need to speak. Now, you've heard about the dumbing down of society. We spoke about this, a year ago, maybe longer?
Yeah,
and we've said, listen to what they're saying. The dumbing down of society. It's not just to make you stupid. To be dumb is to be unable to communicate effectively.
It is.
It's working.
It definitely is working.
It's working very well, isn't it? So getting back to, at least we could consider that as parents, we do have some responsibility to our children.
We do, yeah.
I mean, to hand it all over to the state, well, the state's going to have absolutely no problems at all saying, thanks very much, and we'll get on with it.
We'll get on with it, programming them, yeah.
Funny old times, aren't they?
They are.
Funny old times.
Since 1870.
But it wasn't perfect before then.
No,
I mean, let's get a few things absolutely out in the open here.
Yeah.
Right, we're going back 140, 150 years ago.
4 generations.
When there was, if I look at the figures, are something like 26 people per square mile. I think that number may have gone up. I think it'll be well over 400 or 500 now, if not higher than that.
Yeah.
We lived in different times as different people. And the system, as it were, had very little call on our daily life. Although it did want to share. It did want to share, the Lord and the Lady, they wanted to share. But commerce as we know it today, or business, it wasn't like that, was it? I mean, they didn't teach us to read and write for our benefit.
No, definitely not.
We've got to understand that government never does anything for our benefit. Whatever it puts forward, and whatever it persuades us or forces us to do, is only because it will be more beneficial to them.
Yep.
This isn't new. It's always been this way. It's only now that we have the ability to share, like we do now, information at the speed of light. I think the internet can at least be... We can give the internet credit for perhaps slowing the system down a little bit. I'm pretty sure they would have liked to have been a bit further on, and you can find much evidence out there that some of the major names are saying they would have liked to have been a bit further on. So the internet, we are actually putting up some resistance. But it was to be expected.
Yeah.
I mean, they expected it. That's why it's built as a spy grid.
Yeah.
So they can take our temperature, basically. They can take our temperature at any given country and at any given area. And no matter what we do with these spy machines, we can't defend ourselves from being listened to or watched if we should choose to use them. I mean, I bought a little laptop. My old faithful laptop died just about, and I bought myself a new laptop. It's only a little spare because we're using 3 computers here, and I don't have another one if one of these doesn't work for whatever reason. So I've actually spent the past 2 days taking out half the stuff that was preloaded into it because it was so loaded with pre-programs. Go here, go there, buy this, buy that, buy that. It hardly worked. I actually plugged it into a fibre optic internet here, which is, we're talking about 80 meg down and 80 meg up, 80 meg down, 20 meg up. And it was like being on bloody dial-up. It was that creaking and struggling to actually do what I asked it to. I spent 2 days taking stuff out that I didn't want in there. And it just about bloody works. It just about works. And it doesn't want to take that stuff out, It doesn't. You think
it's putting up a fight, is it?
It doesn't want you to take it away, I'm telling you. It really doesn't.
Bit of AI going on there, then.
But back to the kids. If we don't invest in the kids, it doesn't matter. Nothing else actually matters, really. It doesn't really.
No.
If we don't actually admit that we can chat amongst ourselves as old dinosaurs, because we are dinosaurs, and we can chat all day about what we're interested in. That's not going to make a difference to the future of our children.
It isn't, no.
I actually think that if I look over out my front window, I have to the left a whole row of houses, all gradiented uphill, and I think that if I actually went to all those houses, knocked on the door and said, look, I just have a little question that I want to ask everybody, and this question is a really simple yes or no answer, so I hope you'll go with me on it. And the question is, would you like to make the world a little bit better? And leave it that way so your children have got a better life because you made it a little bit better. And they all would say, well, yeah, I'm sure I would like to, yeah. And if I go to every single house and say, would you like to make the world a better place for you and the one you leave behind for your children? I suspect every door would say, well, yes, of course I do. And once I've got a yes from everybody, I go back and say, it's me again. I wonder if I could ask you, because you said you wanted to, would you like to come to a meeting at the town hall where we can all collectively sit together and have a little chat about what we could call, the way forward, where we can make our world a little bit better, where we can ask our councillors to come and answer our questions, we can ask our local MP to join in, and we can question these people and try and get them to serve our needs a little bit better. What do you think the answer would be if I actually sort of did that? What do you think I'd get?
I think you get people saying, Monday night? I think Coronation Street's on Monday night.
Do you not think that they would actually say, yeah, that would be no problem at all, yeah. Absolutely no problem at all.
You would hope so.
And when it came to Monday...
began with the forging of the great rings. 3 were given to the elves, immortal, wisest and fairest of all beings. 7 to the dwarf lords, great miners and craftsmen of the mountain halls. And 9 rings were gifted to the race of men, who above all else desire power. For within these rings was bound the strength and will to govern each race. But they were all of them deceived, for another ring was made. In the land of Mordor, in the fires of Mount Doom, the Dark Lord Sauron forged in secret a master ring to control all others. And into this ring he poured his cruelty, his malice, and his will to dominate all life. One ring to rule them all.
Welcome back to the show then. It is Tuesday the 1st of October 2013. My name's Paul.
My name's Andy.
And this is the Unpenned Show, broadcasting live on awakeradio.co.uk, Blog Talk and the Shaziz Radio Network, live across the planet. So welcome to everybody who's listening. Thank you for doing so. If you're listening to this on YouTube, again, I'll mention it. The whole show is below YouTube. You miss all the clips, you miss the music. Whether it adds to the show, we think it does, but if you don't think it does, that's fine. Just listen to the radio and the actual spoken edit, that's fine. And this is speaking. This is actually speaking. No typing, no messing. We've actually got the ability to go to video,
Yes,
we can go to video. I'm thinking about getting a round table and the melon... what was it? Melon... Was it Melon Griff?
Oh, yes, yeah. Melon Griff.
Shall we just sit facing each other with a microphone between us, doing what we do? Maybe that would be quite funny.
It'd be quite funny, yeah.
Shall we give it a go and just see how it looks from
our
our
end?
end?
We could try it, yeah.
Before watch everybody else. Now, that one ring to rule them all, the Lord of the Rings. These are fantasy fairy tales, but they often have roots in fact, don't they?
They do have a hidden meaning,
They do. All the filmmakers are actually showing off their craft, their talent, their skill. Just in a small way, we're trying to do that, aren't we? We try and show you what we see. And filmmakers, they have their version of showing you what to see. The scriptwriters do it. The producers do it. Watch Wag the Dog. If you haven't seen Wag the Dog, you should have seen Wag the Dog by now. How much of that is true? Astonishingly, a lot of it, I think. What a film that is, about how everything is scripted for an American presidential election.
Right.
It's all scripted for him.
I've not seen it, no.
You need to watch it.
Do need.
I gave you it years ago, but I gave you lots of stuff years ago. I'm not surprised that you haven't watched it all. But that The Lord of the Rings, the reality that I see is that whether you like it or not, the Force, the biggest force, is what rules. You can argue with me on that, but I won't argue back. I'll just listen carefully and see if you can convince me differently. because I don't think you're going to. At the moment, America is supposedly the world's peacekeeper, and without doubt, the biggest military presence on the planet.
Yeah.
And the Empire will not move house until they've created a military that is equal to and greater than the American one that will be destroyed. So it'll go two ways. Either one, America will stay as the world's policeman, with no conscience at all, running the world as it sees fit from an American perspective. And I'm sure France and the UK will be hanging on to the coattails.
They will.
In the way that we always seem to do so.
Mm-hmm.
The three countries with the highest tax rate on their people are the US, the UK and France, and they're also the three most warlike countries on the bloody planet. We've been living in a world now of almost eternal war. And maybe it's always been that way. We haven't lived long enough to know.
We haven't,
and I've not read enough history to know if there has been a real time of peace that could be called peace. Although I am led to believe that there was a period of time, middle 1600s and the middle 1700s before the Crimean came. Was it the Crimean that came along then? There was a period of peace. There was a period of stability while the Bank of England was establishing its new currency and its new monetary systems, and we could call that peace. But before then, a bit like we navigate directions, we used to navigate directions to different places by pubs, didn't we?
Yeah.
Well, history navigates by wars, doesn't it? It does navigate by the wars that have occurred and who won, who lost, that sort of thing. But what I'm trying to say is that the might has achieved the ability to control the rest of us. Just like the bully in the playground. The bully was never the smartest guy. But because he was the most intimidating, and he knew he could get people to carry out duties for him.
Yeah.
And he did. The bullies haven't really taken over the world in the way that I'm trying to describe, or you think I'm trying to describe. The bullies have been employed by the guys in the chess club.
Yes, they have.
That's how this has worked out. The guys in the chess club that didn't go to discos, didn't get the girls, and they were rubbish at football. And they used to come up with all sorts of reasons for getting out of cross-country. They've employed the bullies. And here we are. We can argue about the political systems that can control socialism, capitalism, anarchy, which would cause anarchy. This no rules idea sounds great, but you'd have to eliminate all the bullies first.
You would.
You'd have to. I mean, if we actually even tried to create England as a country of peace, even if we said, lay down your arms, we don't want to fight, let's go the Buddha route, you know, let's love each other and get along and show the world how it's done. There would be a queue of countries coming to take us over. They would come in, invade, and slaughter us all and say, look, if you want to be weak, we're taking it. Because the bully took your dinner money. And other countries will take your resources if you don't have the strength to stand up to them. And we don't. We don't have the strength to stand up to the force. Some people say, well, we can use the laws against them. We can turn the tables on them. Do you think you're the first person in history to say that? Because for the past 200 years, we've been discussing systems of control and how to rebel them, push them back, how to reform them, how to shape them, and how to make our world a better place because we're aware of the systems of control.
Yeah.
And still we're here. You can say capitalism's a problem. Maybe it is. But we're here today, and capitalism is the result of where we've got to.
Yeah.
And this is where the most money wins. This is monopoly. And the Monopolies Commission is doing exactly what it says, isn't it?
It certainly is.
Because to commission something is to bring it into being.
Yeah.
And they are bringing monopolies into being. It's a bit like the patent office, isn't it? Yeah. You can't do it until you tell us what you're doing, and we'll tell you if we know somebody else who's done it. It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's all like confession on a Sunday morning, isn't it? It's all like confession.
Yeah.
You know, the priest saying, I wonder what they've all been up to. I wonder what they've all been up to. I'm going to sit here and listen to the stories. It's the same thing. It is just getting us to rat ourselves. Just to rat on ourselves. They make up rules. So things that we could do without the rules are now illegal unless we follow the rules. The government that we have, the style of government that we have, is the way it's always been. Read the complaints from 200 years ago. It's the same complaints. It's the same ideals. It's the same methods of challenging them. It's the same, and it's not worked.
No.
Because right at the beginning of me saying this, these isms are political control systems where they know you're not going to be happy. They know that a certain part of the population is going to be a bit pissed off. They're not going to be happy. Here's something. Actually, this is a little bit of a chip. We'll come back to it, but here's something. I'll forget if I don't do it now. Here's an idea that I'd love people to toy and play with. Here in the UK, we have a landscape now, a countryside landscape of closing, dying public houses.
We do.
And they're being taken over in some part by new businesses. Indian restaurants, some people are converting them into houses, but for some reason they're hard to convert into houses. The councils are not immediately letting them convert them into houses. The councils are of a mind that like to keep them open as a public service.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's where we are at the moment. Now, I've not had an idea. I'm only working on an idea that existed 150, 160 years ago, when the working men's clubs, when the working man tried to take charge of at least something that he thought belonged to him.
Yeah.
And that's where they put together a club, made it members only, and ran it at no profit, so they could drink and party and socialise without having to pay the taxes of the day. And they worked quite well. In fact, the last of the working men's clubs now have just been eliminated.
It's called Parliament, isn't it?
They've got their own.
They've got
we stocked the bloody cellar. The finest wine cellar in Europe, I believe.
And they can smoke in
the
there as well,
finest wine cellar.
Private
But
gentleman's club.
what I'm saying is that the reason why they have so many lawmakers and so many laws is because our ingenuity is that we always find ways of getting around them. So they think, oh, God, we'll have to make another law to stop them doing that. And we'll have to make another law to stop them doing that. Because we always manage ways to get round it, or we try to. Here's one that I think might work for the public houses. It's the working men's club, but it's rejigged. Because the working men's clubs fell on one particular fault, and that is that they had to ask for a licence.
Yeah.
Once you ask for a licence, which is just a reverse spell of silence, in other words, you'll do as you're told. Once you license something, you accept the rules enforced by another. And to enforce rules is to allow some to win and some to lose. If you're the ruler, you can enforce the rules on one party and relax them on another. So rulers always can pick winners and losers. And license and silence designed to make that happen. So the license is the problem. So can we actually run what would be an old-fashioned country pub without a license? And the answer at this moment in time is, my research tells me, yes. And this is how we do it. And if I wasn't doing this, and maybe in the future I might actually get... I'm hoping somebody will take this idea and run with it. Maybe contact me, and I can go into detail and give you a few names and numbers who might help you achieve it. If not, run with it and speak to your local publican. See if you like it first. I'm going around the houses. See if you like it. Let's just pick some easy figures. Let's pick a little closed country pub, and it's on the market, freehold, for £100,000. And let's just imagine that I came along and bought it for £100,000. And then what I did was, I'd already worked out the catchment area had about 3,000 people. So I'd figured that there's 3,000 people here. And I'm going to market a share of this pub to only 100 people. Only 100 people. The first 100 shares is all I'm going to market. And I'm going to keep one for myself. So there's only 99 shares available at £1,000 a piece. So now we would have 100 shared owners of that public house. But it wouldn't be a public house. So we must rename it now as to a private residence. Because it wouldn't be a public house anymore. But now we rename it as a shared holding of a private residence. It becomes a second home for the shareholders. And the shareholders can visit their second home with their family and friends. And should the business, should they think ahead, then they would have to have a caretaker and a maintainer for their second home. And that caretaker and maintenance guy would stock the cellar. Because they would have a figure given to the maintenance guy that would be their stock. So they would be able to go into this private residence that looks like a public house, bring their family and friends with them, and drink at supermarket prices.
Mm-hmm.
And the maintenance caretaker guy would ask for a flat monthly fee to pay the gas, the electric, water, and fuel the vehicle, so you could go to cash and carry and pick up the necessary.
Yeah.
And as long as that fee was acceptable to all the 100 people concerned, then you could go to what looked like the pub, drink at supermarket prices, and no money would ever change hands, because you would only technically be replenishing your own cellar that you put there in the first place, except you'd be paying somebody else to do it for you. And because it would be non-profit making, and because you wouldn't need a licence, then Mr. Policeman couldn't come in.
No, he wouldn't.
He couldn't come in. He can't come in because it's a private residence. And they can't enforce the laws upon you. Interesting, isn't it?
It is.
Interesting. You say, well, how much would that fee be? Well, reasonable. I mean, if the guy's going to maintain it, clean it, look after it, stock it, 25 quid a month. But if you go for a couple of beers a week, and you have 3 or 4 drinks, let's say, 2 times a week, that'd be 8 drinks, yeah? And the average pint of beer around here is around about 3 quid. Let's just do easy maths.
About 3 quid.
At the pubs.
Yeah.
So that'd be 24 quid. So 24 quid a week. So you'd be spending 96, let's call it £100, right, just for ease of calculation. You'd be spending £100 in the pub a month if you were paying bar prices.
Yeah.
Okay? But what if that pint of beer was 80 quid? 80 pence. Sorry, I apologise, 80 pence. So instead of spending... We've gone with 4 beers, haven't we?
Yeah.
We've gone with 4 beers a night, twice a week.
Yeah.
So that'd be 8 beers. So it'd be £6.40 a week. So it'd only be 26 quid. So you'd be spending 26 quid on your couple of nights out a week over a month.
Yeah.
Plus your 25 maintenance. That'd be 51. Whereas the pub would cost you 100.
Yeah.
And that's only going a couple of times a week, isn't it? I hope somebody goes with that.
Yeah.
Companies now have got these call centres, but the idiot on the other end of the line's got a script to go by and he can't come off the script. Fuck no. You ring them up and you go, I'd like to open an account on the internet. And they go, oh, can I have your account number, please? Well, no, I ain't got one yet because I'm not on the internet, am I? Oh, yeah, gotcha. Can I have your account number, please? And they have a script to go by, but they wouldn't like it if we had a script and we stuck to our script. They wouldn't like that very much. You know, you get BT call you up to remind you to pay your bill, and they go, can I speak to the account holder, please? And we go, I am Spartacus. No, the account holder, please. No, I am Spartacus.
One of our favourite clips, that, isn't it? How to answer the telephone to these never-ending pesterers. But let's not do that. We've done the telephone thing before. We'll do it again in the future because it's always a cycle, a circle, isn't it?
Certainly is.
And everything goes round and round in circles. They just try and implement more of it if it was a good idea and step back if it's not a good idea. Such as these working for your dole money. That is a real hot potato, that one, isn't it? Because it's hard to defend people who've been out of work for 3 years and who are actually fit and healthy. It's hard to defend those people. And I don't choose to do it. I don't choose to do that at all. I think they should want to make a positive contribution to the community because it is the community combined that's maintaining them. But that's as far as I'm going with that one. That's as far as I'm going. Now, are they going to force people who are on the dole to work? Well, you can't say they aren't trying.
No, you can't.
With workfare and 0-hour contracts, you can't say they aren't trying. But it's not the first time, is it?
It isn't, no.
This has been going on for at least 30 years that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
You know, right back to the YTS where it was 2025, 27.50 a week.
Yeah, they did it with me.
They were paying
or tried to do it with me.
And it's just the same thing. It's a bit like Cameron's looking to get back in favour with the electorate, you know, bribing kids to buy houses.
Yeah.
But it's not a bribe, it's temptation, isn't it? It's temptation to get yourself into debt even further.
Yeah.
And the one thing that life has taught me is that I don't think we see buying houses in a way that is beneficial to us. Because buying houses has changed now. Because we spend a lot of our disposable income on not buying houses.
Yeah.
Before, we didn't have such temptations as we have today. There's a never-ending stream of temptations. People can't sit still. People don't like their own company.
No.
Look how many times they check their own phones.
Yeah,
They check phones at
constantly
funerals.
on the phone.
They check them at bloody funerals. They check them at meetings. They check them in church. They can't leave the phones alone because they can't bear to be doing nothing. They always want to know what everybody else is doing, to feel connected, to feel part of. It's like waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning to check you haven't missed anything. That's the old joke. And it's getting worse and worse and worse. And for the people at the lower levels, they seem to be addicted to it, don't they?
They do, yeah.
And these phones they're making you, buying your iTunes, using up your minutes. And you say, well, it's only 20, 30 quid a month. Yeah, I realise that. That was your couple of driving lessons that you've given up. You've given up your two driving lessons because you have to have that phone that's a bit thinner and supposedly a bit faster and can do something different to the 500 quid phone that you've just binned.
Yeah.
And I'm aware of kids. I've got a girl who works for me whose daughter is really knocked because her dad has got a better phone than she has. And she's 15. And she sees that as wrong. Now, this isn't a criticism on those two people. It's an observation.
Yeah. It's
an observation of what we have today. That girl of 15 thinks, through indoctrination, that her dad, who's older, and obviously he doesn't need the best phone, she thinks she should have it. This is not a criticism. Observation only. What I'm saying is, we're giving up driving, aren't we?
Yes, we're
giving up driving.
Or the younger generation seem to be doing.
I mean, it was
half. We couldn't wait to learn to drive, could we?
These are the rites of passage that now I'm getting onto about the what we should do for our kids. And you can say, well, maybe we should, or maybe we shouldn't. You argue all you like. I'm going to give you what I think the new reality is making parents at least consider. We should have been doing this years ago, but we don't know. We only know now.
Yes.
As usual, too late to the party.
Yeah.
Too late to the party. But we're here anyway now. And I'm not going to go if I could, because I can't. But today's modern parents should be saying to themselves, it's likely our kids are going to really struggle to have what we had. It's very likely that they're going to, if they want the car and the house and the holiday and a little bit left over, we're probably going to have to help them.
Mm-hmm.
But you should be able to do some business with your kids on that. You should be able to do a little bit of business on that.
Mm-hmm.
And that is that we'll help you if you work with us.
Yeah, we work as a team.
We work as a team, yeah. And that's where, when we've left school and we go to work, all of us, that's mum and dad and the two kids, we're going to pool our resources. And if we haven't got the current house mortgage that we've paid out, that we're living in, paid off, our first priority should be to get rid of that mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
And then collectively, we can go and get another one. And then we should break our necks to pay that one off and then go and get another one. If that isn't the priority in families, which it never was, except in the Muslims do it.
Yes, they do.
They do
the
this.
Sikhs do it as well.
Yeah,
and Jewish families do it as well, don't they?
Well, if we'd have been doing it years ago, we wouldn't be in the problems that we're in now.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't. We didn't. We chose to do things differently.
Mm-hmm.
And who am I to say if that was right or wrong? But I think we should rethink where we are today and rethink how we do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because owning houses is something that we still all mostly desire.
Mm-hmm.
The younger kids have given up owning houses. They've given up the wish to do it. They actually, if you could look forward into the future, there'll be a certain section of kids who are quite happy to see the parents pop off. Now, I've told this story before, and I'll tell it again. So I don't think I've done it on the networks that we're on now. I don't think I've done it. And that is that, for those of you who don't know, we live in North Yorkshire, smack bang in the middle of the UK, within an inch or two, well, a millimetre or two, really. Smack bang in the UK, Yorkshire. We don't spend a lot of time on the internet, and we don't hear what a lot of other people have to say. And that is that we don't feel the need.
No, we've done that. We've been there and done that, haven't we?
We don't feel the need to listen to too many other people. We find that we've got a lot to share just between us.
Yeah.
So we actually talk to each other, talk about what we see, and it makes sense to us, and we record it, and we look for comments, good or bad, doesn't matter to us. Please feel free to join in or just listen, doesn't matter. We do this as a record. of what we wanted to do at the time we wanted to do it.
Yeah.
But getting back to
The mortgages.
the mortgages, where was I? The mortgages. You know, it might not suit a family of 4 to do that now. But what's your alternative?
Mm.
What is your alternative?
Yeah.
Because freedom starts with debt freedom.
Mm.
That's how it starts.
Yeah.
Now, the government of the day are desperately trying to restart the house market because they're promising to back up mortgages.
Yeah.
This has been done in other parts of the world.
Yes.
Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, whatever it's called.
Another bubble coming.
They're trying to blow up anything to get
Yeah.
the economy going. They're trying to get the economy going.
Uh-huh.
Because if their tax receipt reduces, then their borrowing increases.
Mm.
And that's what's going on here. The tax take is being reduced. Everybody who reads a little bit about economies knows that the more money people have in their pocket, the more tax receipts the governments get, because the economy improves.
Yeah.
They know that, but the government doesn't know that. At least the government pretends it doesn't know that. The government taxes and taxes and taxes, knowing that they're actually squeezing the life out of the economy.
Yes, certainly are.
Now, they pretend not to know that, but the truth is they do know that.
Yes.
Anybody who spends 5 minutes on economists will know that that is the truth. They are trying to impoverish us, but they've always tried to impoverish us, and we've always been inventive enough and ingenious enough to fight back and do our own thing. The internet, among many of the things that it wants to do, it wants to get us to the cashless society, and that's what the internet is for, primarily. The internet that we've got now, 2013, if we look forward to 2023, it will not look like this. This will look like the old-fashioned dial-up phones that you used to have in your living room.
Yeah.
This is going to absolutely bloom into a media system that we could never envisage. It's going to be always on. It's going to record everything we are, everything we do, every situation and circumstance we're in, and we will be able to recall it. Because our memories will have been given to the clouds. Our head will be in the clouds. We will be nothing more than automatons.
Yeah.
How do I know? Because it's underway.
It is underway.
It's underway
Yeah.
now, okay? You can't remember what you did yesterday. You can't remember what you had for breakfast this morning half the time. This is not a mistake. It's part of a scientific plan that's been put together almost 80, 90 years ago. It was spoke about before that, but the plan was spoke about openly in the 30s, which means it started it. It means it was underway. I would not have believed they can get away with what they're doing now, but they can. And the reason they do that is because they have us so confused. They have us confused with very simple little headlines. And this is how it goes. Right, here's the headline, Mail Online. Oh, God, you're using the Mail Online because everybody reads it. Okay, we don't believe this. But what I'm going to do is every week I try and find you a headline. And it takes me about 30 seconds to find one. 30 seconds. The first one I look at usually fits the bill entirely. And the reason why I don't... The Mail Online, it's on my Facebook page today. Now mums-to-be are told it's safe to eat more oily fish after concerns about mercury levels appear unfounded. Alright, that sounds absolutely fine. So apparently it's okay to eat more oily fish after concerns about mercury levels appear unfounded. Now you can go on the internet and you can find on the American news services that mercury is actually good for you. You could find them saying that. I'm not saying it. I'm sat in North Yorkshire with a fish and chip shop. Okay, I don't really know what is true and what isn't true about mercury, but I suspect it's not good for us. But the reason why I've picked that headline is because I'm not confused you yet, have I? I have not confused you. Here's the underlying lines. Food Standards Agency warn pregnant women metal could be harmful. Well, they've just said that it isn't, with the top headline. Let's have a look at bullet point number 2. Bullet points. They're bullet points. They're meant to
Rounds.
round and round you'll go, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Point number 1, right? Food Standards Agency warn pregnant women metal could be harmful, but the top headline says that it's not. Bullet point number 2. But results of large-scale study have questioned this theory. So now you're starting to spin. You're in a bit of a daze now. Bullet point number 3. Fish account for only 7% of mercury in a woman's body. Right. Bullet point 4. Other food and drink account for 17%. Bullet point 5. Dental fillings and air pollution are also sources of toxic metal. Did you want to tell me if mercury is good for you or bad for you?
Oh, but yeah.
Did you want to tell me if mercury is bloody good for you or bad for you? You read those bullet points and headlines, right? You decide for me if it's good or bad for you.
I can't decide from that.
You bloody can't, can
No.
you? And the whole news story goes round and round in circles. And what's the bottom line? What's the bottom line?
Overall, only 38 of the women, fewer than 1%, had mercury levels higher than the maximum.
Right. Okay, I haven't printed off the third page. There should be a third page to go with that. And do you know what it says? Do you remember what it said? That's what your gran told you.
Oh, it was, yes.
It's on the bottom line. It's on the bottom of that story. I haven't printed off the third page.
It was about the levels of people.
I'll find it. I've just closed Facebook.
Yes,
as well.
if people eat bread and potatoes.
Right, let's have a look. I'm going to find it.
It's the mercury levels are less or something.
No, I don't. I knew I. What a shame I actually didn't print that out, because we were laughing our heads off, weren't we?
We were, yeah. The actual.
The more things change, the more they stay the bloody same. Right, let's have a look. Let me find it.
While you're looking for that, why is there 17% of mercury in the other foods?
Good point. Good. Doesn't say in there.
Doesn't say that, does it?
Say.
No.
You think, okay, 17% in other foods. What other foods and why is it there?
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
Not a bloody word on the news story. Nothing at all.
Now, I do know mercury were used in the making of felt hats.
Right. That was Mad as a Hatter.
And that's where the Mad as a Hatter
yeah,
comes from. It sent you nuts.
Right, the bottom line on this article, you ready? The bottom line. However, women who ate lots of chips and white bread tended to have lower levels. Right, so what this story tells you is there's no mercury in chips and white bread, but there's plenty of carbs. Who knows what GM is in there as well, but there's no mercury.
No.
If you want to try and make sense of the food you're meant to eat, go on then. Go on then. Because I am not going to try and say that I know. This is food fights on a global scale, isn't it?
It is,
I mean, we've got people who say we must resist GM food. We must stop the onward march of Monsanto. They haven't read anything, have they? It was actually openly accepted in 1986 that modified foods were the way forward.
Late 70s, actually, they did. The first thing was soya.
Yeah, but Parliament actually accepted that modified foods, modified crops were the way forward. And by 1997, they'd pretty much done what they wanted to. And then they changed the animals. Then every pig, sheep and cow was changed in this country. Everyone.
Was genetically modified.
Well, we don't know that. But they were changed without any hiccup in the food chain. Everything went really well, didn't it? So if you think that our food and animals have yet to be changed, you're a little behind the time. Because that's not the truth. We've got one or two health stories here, and the one that the one that is perhaps maybe the most poignant is, because I'm coming back to the kids, and that is that 80,000 kids are suffering from depression. That's just just the headline itself is like, how these are kids under 10.
Yeah,
these are kids under 10. 8,000 kids under 10 are depressed, and that's the pressure of modern day living. That's the pressure of looking like a model, looking like a superstar, having to equal and beat and match.
Could it be too much mercury in the diet, do you think?
I think we can add all sorts of what could be true here. I think we could add all sorts about, the vaccinations and the education.
Just one thing, my nan used to, God bless, she's dead and gone in the 80s, but she said to me, it was time of Margaret Thatcher, and it was time of austerity then, and she said, you can always tell how well the country's doing. When the country's rich, they tell you to eat more meat and fresh veg, and organic this and organic that. And when the country's doing really badly, they tell you to eat loads of bread and potatoes. And she wasn't far wrong.
Nothing changes. We just think it's not the same.
We do. Yeah.
We don't live long enough to see the cycle going round and round and round. Back to workfare again. Will they implement workfare? Well, if they think they can get away with it, they'll push it a little further. But the chances are that there'll be so many £1 million devoted to government departments to bring this into being, and maybe they will, and more likely they won't. Yeah. Because if you notice, one government says that's what we're going to do, and the next one cancels it. Yeah. And the reason they cancel it is because it was a bloody failure, and what they said they were going to do, they didn't do, and we didn't get any money back. Because this is all really about the money. It all right, they don't care about us. They haven't cared about us for a long, long time. We really must go back to the 60s and 70s when the change came in, and in many ways, we're into the third generation now of politician. Yeah. Who from that time that sees us as useless. They see us as of no use to them anymore.
Apathy, don't they? They
couldn't
say we've
care
got
less.
apathy.
But they
Wonder
don't.
why?
Well, it's because the world they're building doesn't need us.
It doesn't, no.
You know, it doesn't need us. I mean, if I had to give some advice to any kid or parents of kids, and it just had to go into one line, try and think of a job that robots will struggle to do for a long time. Because I can't think of one.
No.
I can't think of a job.
We had to think about it earlier, didn't we?
I can't think of a job that a robot couldn't do over time. And what we say is impossible now is just a masked word of I am possible, it's just you can't do it. The system employs the best minds, the best brains, the best engineers and the best scientists and says this is what we want to achieve. And they are tasked with making it happen. So they don't see the word impossible. They see the word I am possible. I'm possible. There is nothing. They say if a man can think it, that in time he will be able to make
achieve it.
And that's how they do this. They say, well, what we want to achieve in 200 or 300 years from now is to be at this point here. And you are tasked with coming up with ideas to get us there. There's a film, The Day the Earth Stood Still. And there's a remake, I think, is it, whatever, 2006 or 2008.
Was, yeah.
Keanu
Reeves was in it,
There's a film, The Earth Stood Still. But it's a remake.
It is
of a 1951
50s,
classic. And in that classic, 1951, remember? Right, 1951, 62 years ago. They talk about robots controlling the masses. They talk about robots being judge and jury. They talk about the fact that we've entrusted robots to enforce the peace and keep the peace. Meant that they couldn't be compromised in a way that humans can be. The robot had the rules, and justice was served to whoever committed injustice. And they thought robots was the way forward. That's 62 years ago. And it's still the same plan.
It is.
They have stayed on the same plan. Because they can't divert off the road once they've indicated the destination. And that is the plan.
Yep.
Scary, isn't it?
It is scary. I was just in the supermarket today, and there's now 3 rows of checkouts now that it's robotic. You just go through and scan your stuff, and the people in the queue. It was actually the cigarette queue. They were in the cigarette queue there, and I looked down the line of staff, and it was all Morrison staff that were in the queue. And I said, you work at Morrison's and you're buying from Morrison's. Oh, well, we're on our lunch hour, so we just get things that we need from here. I said, there'll come a point where you won't need to actually come and spend your money here. You'll just come and work here, do the bits, and you'll get everything here. And of course, everything is there. There's even prescriptions and everything. But I said, look at the future. Your future's over there. And they said, what are you talking about? I said, the robots are taking your jobs. The robotic tills are taking your jobs.
But we're making ourselves obsolete.
Yes, we are.
The future doesn't need us, but it needs us to build our replacements.
Yeah.
And what they'll do is, as it becomes more obvious what the future is going to be, because it should be to most people now, but if it isn't, it will be soon enough. In just a few short years, we'll be here. And they'll offer us enhancements to compete.
Yeah.
In other words, a robot can do this, but we can help you. We can help you. We'll still believe that we're higher programmed than the robot until the day when we learn that we're not. It's already here. It's just not evident yet. These inanimate computers that are, well, basically dead and dead and they're dead. These are corpse mute.
Yeah.
The dead and don't speak. Put corpse and mute together and you get the word computers. And we animate these things.
Yeah.
Well, this is just the very first version of the anima that is going to exist. We are going to merge with these machines, but not in a way that makes us better. We are going to be the experiment to make them better. It is always, always done on us. They knew which way they were going to take us in the late 50s, early 60s. Plenty of stuff on there to read about young children being given a robotic puppy. And they were put in a room, like a playroom, with this little puppy, and this little puppy had moving eyes. Okay, the eyes could move. Now, this puppy was wired up to a real voice. It wasn't a robot as you think. It was wired up to a microphone and the camera, and they could reply to the kid, there's a microphone and a speaker and that sort of thing in there. And the puppy would say hello, and the little kid was like a bit, oh my God. But over time, because it was a pretty little puppy, and because it never once threatened the youngster, he preferred talking to the puppy, to his friends, because he could control it. The puppy always answered in the affirmative. Yes, of course. Never once denied him, and never once made him feel uncomfortable or less than. So the child eventually preferred the actual comfort that the puppy gave him. And because the puppy never grew up and never needed feeding and didn't have to be taken for a walk, he liked that better.
Mm-hmm.
And they were affecting children's growth, testing out these methods. That's 50-odd years ago.
We have been and still are the big experiment, aren't we?
It is a human experiment.
It is a human
and it'll never stop being one until we get another name.
No.
And that'll be transhuman or post-human.
Yeah.
Or just dead.
Well, and that links in with what you were saying there about the kids and kids suffering from depression.
But we did remember when we were at school, we both spoke about this, and I think that's why we're pals, because we've gone down the similar road. I was bullied at school.
But
I wasn't having it.
No,
I wasn't having it at all.
Exactly the same happened to me.
I wasn't having it at all, because the girls, I mean, believe me, I'm not trying to boast or anything here, but the girls that liked the bully, they like me too. And the bully didn't like that. So that's why I got bullied, because he was jealous of the attention that the girls would give him, because he wanted the attention of the girls. And for a bully, that's perfectly normal. So I got bullied by him because he wanted to show off to the girls. But I wasn't having it. I'd chase him on a motorbike. I cornered him in the youth club with a cricket bat. And I wouldn't back down. And I got a few punches on the bloody nose end, I can tell you. But those days, fighting in those days, if you went down, they stayed down.
Yeah.
You didn't get a good kicking. The fighting's changed in schoolyards over the years. And I lost more than once. But the fact that I wouldn't give up, the fact that no matter how many times he put me down, I still got up and said, one day. And there was a day. And the day that I did get my revenge, it all stopped.
It does.
It all stopped.
When you stand up to him on the road.
And you've said the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I chased him on a motorbike, had a faster motorbike than him. I was going to kick him off. 55, 60 miles, and he knew. And I didn't do it, but he knew I wanted to. I'd caught him, and he knew I could do it.
Yeah.
And he knew that wasn't, it was the moment at the cricket bat and the youth club that did it. But when they know you're not frightened of them, it doesn't matter how big you are. That's not the key here. It's when they know you're not frightened.
Yes, you lose the fear.
Yeah, and you don't realise what you've done until a lot of years afterwards.
Yeah, you realise you're going to take a kicking, but during that kicking, you're going to kick back as well. You're going to give it all you've got.
But a bully doesn't want somebody who fights back.
They don't.
A bully wants a sycophant who'll worship him. That's what the system wants.
Cower down to
That's
him.
why it employs the weakest and the least among us now. If you look back at politicians over the years, it may be fair at least to give them a little bit of there were maybe more men. They were more manly, more statesmanly. I'm not sure they were more honest, but maybe they were in a little way. Maybe the corruption is accelerating because the least and the weakest among us are being promoted to positions that they should never, ever be in. They shouldn't be in these positions. They are just puppets, above all the puppets. They are the most enslaved.
Yeah.
Back to the kids and the depression. We fought it.
Yeah.
We fought it. But if you look at the depression figures and the reasons why, it's cyberbullying, isn't it? But they're also saying mental illness. Now, if you teach kids backwards, and this system teaches you backwards.
It does teach you backwards.
And it teaches you one way, and then 2 years later, it teaches you another bloody way. Doesn't it?
It does.
Especially maths. Especially maths. They change maths and change maths. I mean, we have the youngest teaching staff in Europe. And I see teachers coming in here. And I've been for lunch with a teacher, no more than 24 years old. That'll give away who it is to anybody who knows who I am. She's lovely. She knows nothing about anything that matters.
Mm.
She is the ultimate programmer, because she's been programmed.
Mm.
She is the ultimate. She knows everything about kids, because she's been told she knows everything about kids. Has she got any? No. She going to have any? No. What does she spend the lunch doing? On her iPhone. Because she still is a kid. She still is one. 24 is the new bloody 15. What you got?
Just linking in with the kids again on the ADHD prescriptions.
But that's right, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's right, because in a survey, again, this Sherry, whatever her name is, on my Facebook page, and that American survey, one of the questions was, what annoys you most about your parents? And they said that they don't have time for me. We fight for technology.
Yeah.
We fight for, we fight over the same things. We enjoy the same things, but we don't enjoy them together. We compete. They compete with me.
Yeah.
They don't feel like my parents. They feel like competitors in my life.
Yeah.
That's what they said. They didn't have enough time for him. They were too busy outshining, outdoing, and outplaying him. That's
Judge a man by his questions rather than his answers. Voltaire.
That's the point completely. Not important to get children to read. Children who want to read are going to read. Kids who want to learn to read are going to learn to read. Much more important to teach children to question what they read. Children should be taught to question everything. To question everything they read, everything they hear. Children should be taught to question authority. Parents never teach their children to question authority because parents are authority figures themselves and they don't want to undermine their own bullshit inside the household. Kids have to be warned that there's bullshit coming down the road. That's the biggest thing you can do for a kid. Tell them what life in this country is about. It's about a whole lot of bullshit that needs to be detected and avoided.
When you are aware, you can prepare. Our societal structure is broken. The Industrial Revolution took the father out of the house. The Consumer Revolution took the mother out of the house. It now takes 2 or 3 incomes to support a family now. Who is left to shape the minds of our children? Who benefits from this? Cui bono? Our society is mass-producing pathological narcissism on a massive scale. Fascination with fame and celebrity, fear of competition, the inability to suspend belief, shallowness and transitory quality of personal relationships. Who benefits from this? Collective power does. We know deep down that we are not getting ahead. We are presented with saviors who never change the system or solve the problems. Our future is not certain. My generation will be the first American generation to not live as well as the previous generation. This, unfortunately, has been designed to happen this way. We have been programmed all of our lives to shut out personal choices and conform with society. This could come in the form of a parent's authority, school's rules, social pressure, or the government laws and regulations. By the time we are adults, we have a self-regulating prison of our mind. We recognize the symptoms: self-doubt, low self-esteem, lack of motivation, and lack of original ideas. We think we know the cause of these problems: parents, education system, the media, the boss, etc. But in reality, they're just victims of the same dynamic.
I'm coming, bro!
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know, you'll probably be about as good as I was. That's kind of the way it works, and I was below average, so you'll probably ultimately rank somewhere around there, so really, you'll excel at a lot of things, just not this. I don't want you out here shooting this ball around all day and night, all right?
All right.
Okay? All right, go ahead.
Society wants weak, dependent people because it gives power to those who run this world. If people were truly free and independent, they would have no need for any of the elite or collective thought. But the typical American is programmed through society to obey authority, follow the rules, and don't ask questions. We are to conform. We are programmed to go into debt with credit cards, student loans, mortgage, or car payments. The lower class is programmed to either depend on the government or work for the government. They eat fast foods to make them obese and diabetic. They see the military as a way out. Girls are programmed to get pregnant early. Politics is seen as a waste of time, and their lives are filled with distractions. The middle class is programmed to prepare for corporate jobs, to get into debt to have that American dream, programmed to see objects as status and debt as a means to get that status. They excel at regurgitating information for academic achievement and talking points for financial or political intelligence. Corporate life breaks up the local support systems people have, driving a wedge between them and their roots. The system is perfectly designed for us to be just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork, but not smart enough to ask if this is really the best system for us.
Look around, look around. I see a lot of new faces. Shut up! Which means a lot of you have been breaking the first 2 rules of Fight Club. Man, I see in Fight Club the strongest and smartest men who've ever lived. I see all this potential, and I see it squandered. God damn it, an entire generation pumping gas, waiting tables, slaves with white collars. Advertising has us chasing cars and clothes, working jobs we hate so we can buy shit we don't need. We're the middle children of history, man. No purpose or place. We have no Great War, no Great Depression. Our Great War is a spiritual war. Our Great Depression is our lives. We've all been raised on television to believe that one day we'd all be millionaires and movie gods and rock stars. But we won't. We're slowly learning that fact. And we're very, very pissed off.
The information held on you and your children will be used to stop crimes being committed even before they've taken place.
If we're not prepared to predict and intervene far more early, then there are children that are going to grow up in families that we know perfectly well are completely dysfunctional, and the kids a few years down the line are going to be a menace to society and actually a threat to themselves.
I'm interested in how early, because a lot of the evidence suggests you need to be getting in there while the child is still in nappies, frankly.
Or pre-birth, even. Or pre-birth, even. Or pre-birth, even. Or pre-birth, even.
If you can't see the programme, we've played it for you this evening, haven't we?
Yeah.
We've told you in musical clips and what we've said what the programme is. They are looking to break our children.
They are.
So they can never, ever fix themselves. And we are losing the ability to not only fix our own lives, we therefore can't fix anything. We just throw it away and start again. Our cars, our washing machines,
our
we
phones.
just throw them away. And you know what? If we keep going down the same path, we'll give our children away. And that is my biggest worry.
It is mine.
Is that we're going to actually give up having children because we've been programmed to want something else.
Yep.
This population reduction that you're expecting to happen is well underway.
It's well underway.
It's been underway for about 60 years.
Yep.
The population of the UK has been increasing, but a little look as to why it's been increasing. It's not been us that's increasing it. And if you tell me that you watch Jeremy Kyle and I'm wrong, I'm going to tell you you shouldn't be listening to this show. It's not for you. We do this show because we don't want to be called conspiracy theorists.
No.
We tell you what we see.
Yeah.
And if you can't see it, it's because you can't see it. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist. This is the land of the blind. And maybe it always has been. And maybe we should ask, why do so many people not want to know? Maybe we've always been children. And maybe this is the way we either grow up or check out. Because I do see it as a personal test.
Yes, it certainly is.
It's personal to me. And I'm offended by it. But I feel challenged by it. And I will not bend to it. I know it wants me to worship it. It wants me to love it. And it wants me to be grateful for everything it does for me. Because I'm not meant to realise that without me, it is nothing. Everything it gives me, it's taken and stolen from me or somebody else.
Yeah.
Everything it is can only be because I consented in my ignorance to allow it to be.
Yes.
And now I know I'm wrong.
And I've got my hand up to that as well.
For another week. The contacts will be below the YouTube video that will be produced by me this week. Your Facebook, my Facebook, Phil's Facebook, all the things that I've mentioned, they're always on my Facebook page. In fact, if you want to know what this week's show is going to be about in advance, just go read my Facebook page. Yeah. Because I use it as nothing more than a storage area to talk to you and everybody else who's listening. Because we are very, very grateful. If you have given us your time, we can ask for nothing more.
No, because thank you.
A life is all we've got to spend.
It certainly
And if
is.
you've given us a little bit of your life, I hope we've given you a little bit of life back. Good night.
Good night.